Picture this. You're lying in bed at 3 a.m., mind racing through tomorrow's presentation, next month's bills, next year's uncertainties. Your chest feels tight. Your thoughts spiral. What if this happens? What if that goes wrong? Sound familiar? Here's what nobody tells you. This isn't anxiety. This is your brain's desperate attempt to predict and control a fundamentally unpredictable world. And it's killing your peace of mind. But what if everything you've been taught about handling uncertainty is backwards? What if the secret isn't having all the answers, but learning to dance with the questions? What if the very thing that terrifies you most, not knowing, could actually become your greatest source of freedom? Stick with me because we're about to flip everything upside down. We live in the age of information overload, where Google promises answers to everything and self-help gurus sell you 5 steps to total life control. Yet depression and anxiety rates are skyrocketing. Coincidence? I don't think so. Here's the thing. Our modern world has created this toxic illusion that uncertainty equals failure, that not knowing means you're falling behind, that doubt is weakness. But this mindset is suffocating us. Now imagine a man from the 1500s who figured this out before psychology even existed. Michel de Montaigne, a French philosopher, spent his life doing something revolutionary. He wrote about not knowing stuff. And not in a defeated way, in a liberated way. While everyone around him was building rigid belief systems and claiming absolute truths, Montaigne was in his tower questioning everything, including himself. His motto? Que sais-je? What do I know? But here's the kicker. He wasn't asking this question because he felt stupid. He was asking it because he discovered that admitting ignorance was the first step toward genuine wisdom. This isn't just some dusty philosophy from centuries ago. This is survival wisdom for right now. In a world that demands instant answers, immediate decisions, and constant certainty, Montaigne's approach offers something we desperately need: permission to not have it all figured out. And here's why this matters more than ever. The people who seem most confident, most together, most in control, they're often the most anxious, the most rigid, the most terrified of change. Because deep down, they know what you know. Control is largely an illusion. So what if we stopped pretending otherwise? The control trap, why your need for certainty is backfiring. Let me ask you something brutal. How's all that planning working out for you? How many of your carefully crafted 5-year plans actually went according to script? How many times have you stressed yourself sick over scenarios that never even happened? Here's what's really going on. Every time you demand certainty from an uncertain world, you're essentially picking a fight with reality itself. And guess who always wins that fight? Spoiler alert, it's not you. Think about the last time you were genuinely happy. I bet you weren't sitting there with a spreadsheet calculating the probability of future joy. You were probably lost in the moment, laughing with friends, absorbed in a sunset, completely present. That's not coincidence. That's proof that peace exists in the unknown, not in the predicted. But our culture has turned uncertainty into the enemy. We've been conditioned to believe that not knowing what's next is a personal failing. Your parents asked, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" As if your 8-year-old self should have a detailed career plan. School taught you that every question has a right answer. Social media shows you people who seem to have it all figured out. But here's the secret they don't tell you. Those people posting their perfect lives are often the most anxious behind the scenes. The need to maintain that illusion of control becomes exhausting. They're not living, they're performing certainty. Montaigne's radical discovery, the power of I don't know. Now here's where Montaigne blew everyone's minds. In an era where admitting ignorance could literally get you burned at the stake, this guy wrote essays basically saying, I have no idea what's going on, and that's totally fine. But he wasn't being nihilistic or lazy, he was being honest. And that honesty freed him from something that destroys most people, the exhausting performance of fake wisdom. Picture this. While his contemporaries were writing thick treatises claiming to have decoded the universe, Montaigne was in his library writing things like, "I contradict myself constantly." And that's perfectly human. He observed his own mind like a scientist studying a fascinating, unpredictable creature. He noticed that his opinions changed, his moods shifted, his certainties crumbled and reformed, and instead of panicking about this instability, he got curious about it. He turned self-contradiction into an art form. This is revolutionary because most of us are terrified of changing our minds. We think consistency equals integrity, but Montaigne understood something profound. Rigid consistency is just fear wearing a mask of virtue. Real integrity means staying open to new information even when it challenges everything you thought you knew. The hidden cost of fake certainty. Let me paint you a picture of what the illusion of control actually costs you. Meet Sarah. She's that friend who has everything planned. Color-coded calendar, meal prep on Sundays, 5 backup plans for every scenario. Sounds impressive, right? But Sarah can't sleep when her schedule gets disrupted. She has panic attacks when flights get delayed. She's exhausted from maintaining this elaborate system of control. She's trading spontaneity, flexibility, and peace of mind for the illusion that she can prevent life from lifing. Now here's the cruel irony. The tighter Sarah grips, the more anxious she becomes because deep down, she knows her control is mostly theater. Every unexpected event reminds her that her elaborate systems are built on quicksand. This is what Montaigne saw centuries ago. The people most desperate for certainty are often the most tormented by doubt. They're not actually more secure, they're just more elaborate in their insecurity. The exhaustion you feel from trying to predict everything, control everyone's reactions, and eliminate all risk, that's not strength. That's your nervous system in constant fight or flight mode because you've decided that uncertainty equals danger.
The art of flowing with what is. So, how do you break free from this trap? Montaigne showed us through his own example. He practiced what I call conscious flexibility, the ability to hold your plans lightly and your identity even more lightly. Think of water flowing around rocks in a stream. The water doesn't get angry at the obstacles. It doesn't waste energy trying to move mountains. It simply adapts, finds a way around, and keeps flowing. That's what Montaigne did with life's inevitable surprises. But this isn't passive resignation. This is active wisdom. When you stop wasting energy fighting unchangeable realities, you suddenly have massive amounts of mental and emotional resources available for what actually matters. Montaigne wrote about accepting his aging body, his changing mind, even his approaching death, not with grim resignation, but with a kind of philosophical curiosity. He approached his own limitations like an interesting puzzle rather than a personal failure. Here's a practical example. Instead of lying awake worried about a job interview, what if you got curious about the uncertainty? Interesting, I don't know what will happen tomorrow. What can I learn from this feeling? What would it feel like to show up authentically instead of trying to predict and control every outcome? The liberation of impermanence. Here's the final piece that changes everything. Nothing lasts. Not your current problems, not your current successes, not even your current identity. Everything you are right now is temporary. Most people find this terrifying. Montaigne found it liberating. If nothing is permanent, then you don't have to carry the weight of making everything perfect. You can experiment, you can fail, you can change your mind, you can start over. The bad news is that you'll never achieve the permanent, unshakable certainty your anxiety craves. The good news is that you don't need it. What you need is the skill to dance with change instead of fighting it. This is where real confidence comes from, not from having all the answers, but from trusting your ability to figure things out as you go. Not from controlling outcomes, but from knowing you can handle whatever comes up. When you truly accept impermanence, something magical happens. You start appreciating what's here right now, instead of constantly worrying about what's coming next. You become present, and presence, not prediction, is where peace actually lives. So here's what we've discovered today. Your anxiety isn't a personal failure. It's the natural result of trying to do the impossible. You've been fighting a war against uncertainty that you can never win. And that's actually the best news possible, because the moment you stop fighting, you start living. The moment you embrace "I don't know," you free yourself from the exhausting performance of having it all figured out. Like Montaigne discovered centuries ago, your doubts aren't weaknesses to hide. They're doorways to authentic living. The path forward isn't through more planning, more control, or more certainty. It's through radical acceptance of life's beautiful unpredictability. Your peace isn't waiting on the other side of certainty. It's available right now, in this moment of not knowing. I want you to try something this week. The next time you catch yourself spiraling about an uncertain future, pause and ask Montaigne's question: what do I know for certain right now? Notice how little you actually know, and notice if that feels terrifying or liberating. Drop a comment below and tell me, what's one thing you've been trying to control that you're ready to release? I read every single comment, and your honesty might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. If this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more philosophy that actually changes how you live. Because the journey toward inner freedom is just beginning.